Good morning, everyone. Okay, we'll just wait 1 second because I think there are a couple of people still just connecting. If you could just check your microphones and mute your microphones, I would appreciate it. Okay, so it's actually 11:12, so we need to get moving. There's a couple of things I want to discuss, and we'll probably take most of this lecture period to discuss these items. But as we at the very start, I am still planning on having the midterm test next Friday, which will be, I believe, is the 22nd of October. Is there someone here who in the chat could confirm for me that you guys are in week 7 of your program? You guys know that without having to go to a calendar and okay, so this is actually week 6. Okay, all right. So yeah, so next week is week 7. So essentially, the test is going to take place at the end of week 7, which is going to be the Friday, October 22nd. I want to make sure that we have it on a day where we have the 2-hour period in order to do it, right? So I think we're actually a fair bit ahead of where we need to be on the lecture portion with the slides. So I have almost completed a review document that I'm going to post. That's going to it's going to help you guys with the test. I should have that posted. Will be posted certainly by the time we come into the lecture tomorrow, and we should be able to start taking a look, at what we need to be doing for the test. Okay, but there's a couple of things I wanted to just go through with you guys before we start doing anything. So what I am going to attempt to do is I am going to attempt to share my screen, and you guys should now see my my DC Connect page with assignment 2 waste classification assignment. Curtis, can you see assignment 2 that I brought up? Yep. Okay. All right. So I do have the majority of these assignments back, and I have started going through them and marking them. Some of you will have noticed that you have a mark already. Others of you don't. But I want to make sure that that we're all understanding, what the definitions mean for when I ask you to provide certain information. So specifically, so let's look at this. The waste code of all the household hazardous waste generated by the Oshawa Waste Management Site at 1640 Ritson Road North in Oshawa. So when I talk about a waste code, what are you guys going to provide to me? Can anybody who thinks they know what the waste code is just throw it in the chat? Does anybody know what a waste code is? I mean, you don't even have to be right. Just make an effort at telling me what a waste code is. So I don't see anybody hurrying to answer this. Okay, perfect. Curtis just answered it. So 3 digits followed by a letter. So let me just, I believe I've messed this up. Okay, so where I ask for the waste code of all the hazardous household waste generated by the Oshawa Waste Management Facility, what you guys need to provide me, and most of you, I would say most of you did, but there was a large majority did not provide me with any waste codes for any of the waste generated. So when I ask you to provide the waste codes of all household hazardous waste, what I should essentially see, whether it's in table format or however you want to put it, is a list of, 112, 122, 212, 222, 252, 253, 254. Those are the waste codes that I'm looking for you guys to indicate to me in your assignments and in your tests. Now, when I say the waste characteristic of each waste, what should be what should you guys be providing me when I ask for the waste characteristic of each waste ship? Anyone? So you were going to give me a 3-digit number. Yeah, so like Curtis said, liquid, corrosive, etc., etc. But as Matthew said, and somebody mentioned it previously, a letter that describes the type of waste. So the waste characteristic is described by a letter, right? So there's someone up here said liquid, right? So if it was a liquid waste, you would indicate that with the letter L, a capital L. So if somebody was shipping a 252 L, you would know that it's a 252 waste shipped in liquid form. Or if it was corrosive, you would use 112C, right? I would not take marks away from anyone who said, it's a liquid, it's a corrosive, it's a reactive, it's toxic, if it was spelled out. But I do need to see some kind of indication. Is it is the characteristic a C, or is it the characteristic is that it's a corrosive, right? So I wanted to go through with you guys, to make sure that everyone is clear. Clear on this, what it is that what we're asking for, and how you interpret the information that's available on the HWIN database. Now, unfortunately, I believe that we still only have 12 participants, and I would hazard a guess that the ones that are struggling with this are not on this lecture, but I do want to cover it, because it is important. It is important that what the waste characteristic is and what the waste code is for these various wastes. Okay, so now on top of the test that I plan on having on October 22nd, I've also added another homework assignment today, right? Now, if you look in the DC Connect page, and I'm sure that you guys are seeing this the same way, as we have homework down here, we have homework 1, we have homework 2, we do not see a homework 3. And I've been struggling trying to resolve this, but I will keep trying to resolve it. But if you click on homework, you will see homework 1, which has been completed, homework 2, which has been completed, and then down at the bottom, we have homework 3. Okay, so this homework deals with industrial waste disposals and treatment. And I've made the due date on this October 25th. So this is actually the Monday following the test. It's also the Monday of reading week. So I'm hoping that you guys can maybe knock this off fairly quickly through the week. If anyone's struggling with this, just let me know, right? But essentially, we're going to use again HWIN, MPRI, and any other resources to identify the waste classes with the largest quantities transferred, and the major generators, major companies involved in waste management, and how the wastes are treated. Are they recycled, refined, reused, or disposed of? and if it's disposed of, is it, does it go to landfill, incineration, or chemical treatment? So students will be assigned different types of generator receivers, and you will provide a summary of their findings. So you're actually going to provide it to me, whether it's in table form like a lot of you have been doing, or however you want to present it, and then you will upload it. But essentially, the facilities that we're going to look at is General Motors of Canada in Oshawa, A.G. Simpson Automotive Oshawa, and Safety Clean Canada Oshawa branch. And I have provided the MPR IDs for all of them. I see I've missed the one for A.G. Simpson, so I will fill that in just so that there is no confusion as to what facilities we should be looking at. If you were to just simply go into the H1 database and search for A.G. Simpson, they have multiple plants. You could end up using the wrong one. And likewise, Safety Clean has multiple facilities, right? So what I need for you guys is for the 3 facilities listed, identify the following: the waste class and the waste characteristics of the largest waste generated. Right, using the MPRI database, how were the contaminants in the largest waste generated, released, and or disposed of? How were the contaminants used / processed at the generating facility? And what treatment steps were used during the disposal of the wastes? Okay, so I'm actually going to walk you through some of this as to how you're going to do this. We're not going to use these specific examples, but as it says here, keep in mind during this assignment that the generator is more simply the company generating the waste. So think of the transportation and what happened to the waste, what processing did the waste go through, how much of the waste was transported and treated. Right. So when you look at Safety Clean Canada Oshawa branch, that is essentially a waste accumulation. Will we be using navigating the access database during the test? No. My plan is not to have you guys accessing the database. I mean, any information that you would need that would come from that database, I would provide it for you. I do know, is there anybody here that is using a Mac computer at home? I do know of one student that is using a Mac. Could you guys, anyone who's using a Mac, put your hands up? Okay, so Curtis is using a Mac. Okay, Lacey is. So there's more of you using Macs than I anticipated. And for those of you who are using Macs, do you guys struggle with these with the H1 database? Have you managed to resolve a way to open these the H1 database on your Mac computer? So Curtis and Lacey, can you guys? Okay, so Curtis does it in computer comments. What about you, Lacey? Can you access it on your Mac, or do you have to use another computer? Okay, so apparently Lacey found a way to access it on my Mac. Is that a complicated way to access it? Is that something that you could easily post a brief description of how you're doing that? Because I do know of one other student that is really struggling at accessing the H1 database. I would have thought that with them being government websites, they would give us an option of downloading a PC version or a Mac version, but they didn't. So, Lacey, if there is a way, even if you email it to me, how you do that. Okay, so I will check with Durham College as well to see if there's anything that can be downloaded. I do know you have to be very cautious about software that you download for Macs to access these databases, because a lot of them can contain viruses. So maybe if you just send me a link to the software program that you downloaded, and I will take a look at it. Okay, so essentially this is what you're going to do for this assignment. So we'll take a look at the H1 database. Okay, and what we will do is we will pick a site. Okay, and we'll just randomly pick this site, Friendo Kitchens. Okay, you guys can see my database, Curtis. Yep. Okay. I have no idea why sometimes you guys see this when I change screen versus other times. Oh, sorry, that's a no. Okay. All right. So I actually have to share back out. Okay, so now you guys can see it. So I just I typed in my search engine. So I'm on the 2018 generator information. I did a search here for Friendo, and we came up with Friendo Kitchens Limited. So you guys will be able to do searches to find the actual generator number for the facilities that I've given you. If we then go over to the waste manifests, we put their generator number in, and we do a search. We will see that they essentially ship. I just something off my screen. That they essentially ship for 3 wastes. They have 145H, they have 145L, and 211H. Okay, so the question I asked you is what is the waste, the code and the characteristics of the largest waste that they ship, right? So in this case, in this example, it would be they have shipped 108,445 liters of 211H. I happen to know that this is liters because I deal with the facility and help them set this up. So so that would be, if this was just one of the facilities we were looking at, that would be the waste that they shipped in the highest quantity. Now the 3 sites that I've given you, they probably have significantly more waste than 3, so you'll have to go through it and pick out the one that is present there in the highest quantity. So once you have the highest, excuse me, the waste of the highest quantity, we know it's a 145H. And I'm going to change screens, and you guys are probably not going to see this. But if you go to the examples of waste classes, we would see that 145 is waste from the use of paints, pigments, and coatings. And an example of that is paint spray booth sludges and wastes, paper coating and waste, paint sludges. So, but it's essentially any waste from the use of paints, pigments, and coatings, right? So now that we have that that information, and as I say, you probably did not see that screen, but now that you have that information, we are going to go to the MPRI database, and you've used this before, so you should be quite comfortable doing this. You guys would search this based on an address you got from the database, but it's just quicker for me to find it based on the map. Okay, we get their MPR ID. Once we have their MPR ID, we can search the database. Add their MPR ID, and we come up with the report for Friendo Kitchens Limited. Okay, and if we scroll down, we can see that the waste that they generated in at least the reportable quantities are methanol, methyl ethyl ketone, n-butyl alcohol, toluene, and xylene. So you can from the H1 site, we can see that they shipped us 108 liters of waste. That waste contains these contaminants. So essentially what they're shipping is it's their waste paints, it's their waste solvents, and they get shipped off site. So the other thing that I want to show you here is so we click into any one of these wastes, we can look at toluene as an example. So we get into their report for toluene. Okay, nature of facilities or activities related to this substance. Okay, is the substance manufactured, processed, or otherwise used? Now, these are three terms that are specific to the MPRI database. And the MPRI releases a guidance document every year on how to report to them. And in that document is the definition for manufactured, processed, or otherwise used. So we can tell from this information a little bit about what is happening at the facility that is generating this waste. So in this case, it says manufactured on site for on-site use and processing. That is actually incorrect with this specific site, because in order to manufacture the substance, they would have to manufacture, they would have to refine toluene. So in this case, this one is actually incorrect, but processed as a formulation component. So we can tell that a large part of what they're shipping in that 108 liters of waste is it's a formulation component. So it's part of a waste, right? It's part, it's part of a paint or a coating. It's part of the formulation. The toluene makes up a certain component of a formula of a product. So we can tell it's something, it's a material that they're processing and it's part of the formulation. So it's likely, you know, a paint or a solvent that's been purchased for a specific use. And they otherwise use it as a manufacturing aid. So toluene is present within a formulation component of something that they are processing through the facility, and they also use it as a manufacturing aid. So they use it as a manufacturing aid in this case because they use it to reduce their paints so that the paints are easier to spray. They use it to flush paint spray guns after they finished one color and they want to switch to another. So they process it and they otherwise use it. So when you're looking at your top waste and you jump over to MPRI and you look at getting some information on what that waste would be. And I've asked you, so what are they doing with this at the facility? If you could simply tell me they're processing it or they're otherwise using it, or they're actually manufacturing it at the site. Okay, so we can scroll down, we can see what their on-site releases are. They release 5.299 tons of it to the air. We can scroll down, we can see were there any disposals that went directly to landfill. There were none. We scroll down, we can see that they did transfer 3.871 tons to Field and Chemical Technology for recovery of solvents. So that would be the answer to the question about, you know, what was the the final disposal method for it. Is that, you know, this material was shipped to Fielding Chemical for recovery of solvents. And I mean, you could actually Google Fielding Chemical and you would find out that Fielding Chemical, essentially what they do is they redistill these materials and they recover the solvents. Okay, so that is the key thing that you have to keep in mind is you're not going to be able to directly match up the tonnage from HWIN versus the tonnage in the individual components, right? So we saw in HWIN that they disposed of 108,000 liters of material, right? And we look over here, and there are only 4 or 5 solvents that they had to report to. And we can see for toluene, there was only 3.871 tons, or around 4,000 liters. You have to remember that within that waste, there will be a bunch of materials that that are not reportable substances under the MPRI. There will be a bunch of MPRI substances in that material that they did not meet the reporting threshold for, so you don't see it when you look when you look them up in the MPRI database, right? So don't worry, and don't try to balance out the 108,000 liters of the. What's the basis of estimation code? Okay, so the basis of estimation code is essentially how the facility calculated so how did the facility calculate this 3.871? You can click here and see what the basis of estimation code are, right? So in this case, we essentially did a mass balance. We looked at, what was processed through the lines, how much of it went into the air, how much of it remained in the product, how much of it was shipped off site as waste. And then when we went through that mass balance, we came up with this amount was in the in that 108 tons that was, the 108 tons of hazardous waste that was shipped. Okay, so somebody did ask what the basis of estimation code is, and that's how you can take a look at what it is. And it's just essentially what method did the facility or the facilities consultant use to come up with this quantity. Okay, all right. So that's how you would get the information on what was the end recovery or end disposal process. If you look at up on off-site disposals, it could have went to containment or landfill, could have went for underground injection, could have went to containment, or it could have went to incineration, right? So if any of your wastes are in any of these sections, that will give you, your off-site treatment prior to disposal. Okay, so at this point in time, any questions on what I've went through up to now? Are we confident that we know how we're going to get this information and how you're going to get it? I mean, essentially, how you present it to me is up to you guys, right? But I've gotten a lot of assignments came back, and they're basically only 1 or 2 page assignments, and everything is laid out very neatly in a table format, and I can look at it, and it's very professional. So I mean, theoretically, a simple table with this information in it, should be pretty quick way to do it. I've had some come in, and it's the 4 or 5 page documents, and I have to kind of wade through them to see, did I actually get the information that I needed in this 4 or 5 page submission. What I would say, if I get a very neat, very well laid out table, even if the majority of the information is wrong in that table, you're liable to get at least a reasonable mark, because you laid it out in a professional manner. So that's an example of how you would get the information and what we're looking for. And if you are struggling, a simple email to me to let me know that you're struggling, and I will. I've actually, I believe I've been very good at responding to people's emails when they have concerns or they have questions. With the exception of the Thanksgiving weekend, I was tied up, and I did get a couple of emails that I didn't get back to till after the Thanksgiving weekend. So what I want to just briefly show you is that we saw in this Frendel Kitchens disposal is that they shipped this large waste class to Fielding, and Fielding did a recovery of solvent, and then Fielding sold that recovered solvents. In the case of Frendel Kitchens, they actually sell it back to them. They sell the recovered solvent back to them so they can reuse it in their facility. So essentially, Fielding, you would think that Fielding is not a generator of waste, because they take these wastes in, they return, put them back into a usable product, and then they sell them to get some financial gain back out of it. But I just want to, but if we look at Fielding Technologies, and this is similar to the Safety Clean one, right? Here we have this Fielding Chemical Technologies. So if we grab their, we go look in their manifest section, we can see that they ship all of these wastes, right? Including 145H, right? So they are shipping these this material as waste. How would they generate this? They would generate these wastes based on residues that get created during the distillation process, or they could be sludges that are left over in the drums that they receive that are never entered into the facility. But as soon as they have received the waste from Frendel Kitchens and they have processed whatever they can of Frendel Kitchens material, anything that's left over as a waste, Fielding becomes the generator of that waste, right? So when you look at the Safety Clean site in Oshawa, and I think if you did a Google search for Safety Clean, you will see things like they're a recycler of waste oil. So, they have all these trucks that run around to all these industrial facilities and garages. They pick up their waste oil. They take them to certain facilities where they're bulked into larger loads and then shipped to another one of their facilities for the waste oils to be reclaimed. But when they do that process of bulking and then shipping, they actually become the generator of the waste, because they're now shipping it again, right? So that's why I've thrown in there to use Safety Clean. I want you to take a look at what is essentially a waste management company as opposed to an industrial facility. So to take a look at a waste management facility and a transportation operation, so you can see that they do actually themselves become the generators of these wastes. But I mean, you can see by looking at Fielding, they shipped 61 loads of 145I, for 822,709 liters. So essentially what they have probably done, and if you went and looked at Fielding's MPRI, you might find that they've taken material that they cannot reclaim anymore of the solvents from, and they've shipped it to an incinerator somewhere where the material is incinerated and potentially energy recovered from the incineration. So I mean, try and follow some of those wastes along through the process. Okay, so is everything still clear as mud? Okay, so Aaron just posted this question. So basically, if the waste in question changes hands and is stored in any form along the process, the company becomes the generator. If it is simply being shipped or moved, the shipping company doesn't become a generator. So there's a couple of things that can happen here. We did an MPRI report for a facility, and they shipped a substantial quantity of a waste, and they showed that the company that picked up the waste was also the receiver of the waste at a facility on Kipling Avenue. So we questioned that, because did they actually bring the material into that facility and then either bulk it up and then transfer it from there to the final disposal, or did they pick it up at the site and then take it to another receiver for where it was transferred, and they disposed of it, right? So essentially, the generator of the waste, if the material is shipped from the generator, so let's just use A.G. Simpson as an example. If it is shipped from there directly to a disposal site, then there is only one generator. Because it goes to the disposal site, that's the end of the trail. But if it gets shipped to a transfer station, and then at the transfer station it then gets shipped, then that transfer station, they become the generator. So you can see that there can be multiple generators of the same waste down through the process. But essentially, what the original generator is looking for is he's just looking to be sure that the waste was shipped to the receiver that is shown on his manifest, and that he gets a manifest back from them. The waste may change hands multiple times down the chain, but this is something that is a major difference from U.S. waste legislation to Ontario waste legislation. Every time this waste changes hands, ownership of the waste changes hands to the person that accepts the waste. And if you look at Regulation 347, there's an actual statement in there that says the ownership of the waste is transferred once the waste then enters an approved waste management system. Down in the US, ownership of waste actually never changes hands. So if you ship waste to a site in Nashville, you own the waste that is sitting in that site in Nashville. And where that becomes problematic is if a big contamination issue crops up with that particular site, and the US EPA gets involved, it becomes a Superfund site. Then under Superfund legislation, the owners of the waste within that landfill site become liable for the costs associated with the cleanup. So it's something that we typically don't like to see a whole bunch of, is waste being shipped to the US, because and certainly if it goes directly from a facility in Ontario to a disposal facility in the US, then they may very well be retaining ownership of that material. So I think I answered that question. Any other questions? No, so everybody knows how to do this. We're going to finish. We're going to wrap up here a couple of minutes early. So I mean, maybe you can use that to start on this assignment. So tomorrow morning, what I want to do is I go through the preliminary review for the test that we are going to have next Friday. This test is worth 30% of your overall mark. So I mean, it's pretty heavily weighted. So I want to make sure that you guys are well prepared to do this test and to do well on it. Okay, so let's end it now. We'll start up tomorrow morning with a discussion on how we're going to do this preparation for the test. Okay, all right. Okay, so thank you very much for attending. For those of you who managed to actually attend the lecture, thank you.